Welcome to the JOURNEYS Webcast. I'm Karl, your host, and this is the 9th episode, and I'm so happy to come to you from Greece with my guest, Panos Kyriazis.
It is my favorite day of the week. Greetings. Welcome, everybody, to another episode, the ninth of the JOURNEYS Webcast here every Monday, man. Can you think about that? Have we been locked down that long? 2 months and 1 week? Yeah, we have, haven't we? I mean, things are opening up now. We're starting to see things, but it is some crazy times for sure. Hey, I am so excited that we are all going to be virtually in Greece today. I mean, Greece is one of the most popular travelers' destination in the world. But my guest, Panos Kyriazis, and I know I probably said that wrong, and we'll get him to correct me as soon as that comes up. He'll be joining me in a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of go through a couple of the protocols here. You know, we've got the chat room. I think we've got good. Okay, so sound's working. Okay, we've got some Washington, D.C. Thanks, John, for tuning in. Stephen from the U.K. Adele from Peru. Excellent. And local Marion and cruising in from Irvine, and Lucero, who's from Mexico. I guess you know Panos as well. Well, Panos is gonna join us any minute. Rudy Max is coming in. We've got Terry coming in India. I love this webcast because it is truly global, international. So a few things, please go ahead and chat in the chat box, interact with each other, interact with us. If you want to send a question to Panos or I, down at the bottom where it says, you see the chat window, it says chat mode. If you click the icon next to that, it'll switch to Q&A mode or question mode. And that way, at least we'll get flagged and see if there's a particular question. So fantastic. Welcome, Aaron. Nice. Orange County. We've got Linda. Excellent. This is very, very cool. So the other thing is, if for whatever reason, this is technology and it kind of screws around with us once in a while, for those of you who've been on this podcast for a while, or the webcast, you have seen we've battled this onward. There's a little red bar at the top. It says, I think it says connection problems. And if you click on that, there's a button that says reconnect. And what it will do is refresh your screen. And sadly, I think when that happens, for the chat, the history of the chat goes away. So you just got to pop right back into the chat and it will keep going. So those are the two other things. Other than that, I just wanted to address, we're in these crazy times. If COVID and coronavirus wasn't enough, that we've seen this country torn apart and it's spread globally as a result of the injustice and racism. And I have to say something. You know, today I wrote a short blog post yesterday, and it went out today. And this is a perfect example of why words matter, and then sometimes words people miss, they don't read. And in my blog post, I was talking about the awareness and Black Lives Matter and thinking about George Floyd, and I said I supported the protests, and I think what happened is I left out a word. I left out a very important word. I support peaceful protests. I do not support the looting, the rioting, the violence on any hand. And I had a couple people respond to me after they received that email, and it kind of hit me a bit hard because my intentions are this is a peaceful movement. This is just a time where change is imminent, and we are witnessing history in all sense. But this webcast is not political, and my blog is not political, frankly, and it had no political statement at all. I have traveled to more than 80 countries in my life, traveling around the world, overland on a motorcycle, hundreds of thousands of miles, and I've done this to meet people. And that's why I started this webcast, is because I love people. I love Panos, you're going to meet, and all of the other 8 guests that have been on here, and then the hundreds of people that I wish I could bring in and have all of us talk. This is not political. I love people. There's only one race, and that is the human race, and we're all part of it. So amen to that. Let's go to Greece, and let's meet Panos. So I'm going to, I got some notes here. I want to, First, I'm going to put a little poll up. I'm curious how many of you have been here before. So, if you want to go ahead, you'll see it in the sidebar pop up. Let me know if this is your first time here. While I tell you a little bit about Panos and a journey from a very tiny village of just 150 people to the restaurant business and to becoming the #1 rated wine bar and bistro in Athens and probably all of Greece. This wine bar, of course, that's what brought me there. And it's touting that it has the most selection of wines by the glass out of any place in the world. But you get past that fact that we like to boast, because it is true, and we're going to talk about how they are able to do it. But it really is about the people and the owners, Panos and Itza. And when I walked in there the very first time in 2016 or 2017, I met Panos, and he says, "Oh, the owner finally arrived. Come on in. I've got your seat right here." And I looked around, and who's he talking to? So just to give you an idea. So he grew up in this tiny village in northwest Greece called Petrolona. And I'm not sure exactly where that is, but there's a lot of places called Petrolona in Greece, as I learned a little bit. He started studying in university physical education, and he got a degree in tennis coaching. He was, a big tennis fan, and he was going to be a tennis coach. And then things switched, as they all do in lives, when you realize maybe that's not what my destiny is. Then he decided to study the arts, Fine Arts Academy, and he specialized in studying sculpture. What a great place to study sculpture in Athens, right? And then he met who would become his wife, Itza, a woman who was a business coach. And before this time, I think Panos has had wines at special occasion. He's Greek. You always drink wine, but it probably, as he'll admit, it wasn't great wine. And it was Itza, who actually isn't Greek. She is from Poland. And it was her who really gave him the passion for wine and food and local ingredients. And they started their first restaurant in 2008 in Yanina. It's in the Epirus province or district in the northwestern Greece, not too far from the Albania border. But I'd like to, okay, Panos, I know you're in here. Turn on your microphone, turn on your camera. Let's talk about Greece. Let's talk about how the heck you got into the wine business, from tennis coaching to sculpture. Hey, there he is. Let's see if I can make myself a little bit smaller. You guys got to be tired of looking at me. Look at this legend. Panos, welcome. Welcome.
So, can you hear me now?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So nice to be with you again here. And I see some people from different countries that we've met at Vintage. So thank you for your introduction. And cheers.
Wow, cheers. Hey, I actually have a bottle of Greek wine. And when you and I were talking about this yesterday as we were preparing, you recognize this. It's a Rapsani. And I was trying to figure out where it came from. And the last time, it might have not even been the last time. It was probably 2 times before when I was in. Oh, you've got it. There it is. Look at this. This is fantastic. So I is that what you're drinking?
No.
Okay. No. Okay. So I stayed in Marina Zea. It's near Piraeus. It's where a lot of the ferry boats, go out to all the islands. And there's a little wine shop there that caters. The Marina Zea is where all the private boats go, the big yachts, And there's a wine shop there, and there's a woman there. I forget her name. That I'd gone in several times, and she's the one who recommended this. I bought it and hand carried this bottle from Greece because I don't think you can find this in the USA. So while I pull the cork out of this bad boy, look, it's sealed with wax too. Can you believe this? Look at this.
Big wax, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what Rapsani is, just to get us started.
So Rapsani is a region. Actually, it was underestimated for many years. It's in central Greece at the region of Thessaly. So they cultivate vines there on the hills. There is a lot of iron and different kind of soil. So traditionally, they make a blend of 3 varieties. The first one, we pronounce it, oh, nice sound.
Nice sound.
Xenomavra, which means sour black, and there are 2 other grapes. So this is one of the really fantastic regions of Greece that it's growing the last decades. And the producer you are having his wine, this is his first vintage in the Rhapsody in 2015. So it's the first vintage that he didn't even know yet a lot about the vineyards he started working with, but it's beautiful. Yeah, so it's a wine that it's a little bit more fruit forward than usually there. It's mineral. It has a nice backbone, acidity. It's beautiful. It loves food. So you can give it some time to breathe. And I'm having a wine from my region, from Ioannina. As you can see the color.
Oh, it's amber.
Yeah, it's what I grew up with. So there is a producer over there who is making this wine. You can find it in the States. So it's semi-sparkling, orange, demi-sec wine. And this is the traditional wine they used to make at the villages where I grew up. And it's so nice to have it in a nice bottled version that you can even find it in the States. So cheers.
So cheers to that. So good to see you. I call vintage my home. I call Athens my home away from home because for the last 3 years, I've been going back and exploring all the regions around Greece. And in fact, while we do that, why don't we pull this up? I'm going to show a few slides here. We're going to get past. These are all my previous guests, by the way. If you haven't seen or any of our other webcasts, they're all up on YouTube, and as this one will be a replay, was up there. But just real quick, here's the region right here. So for those of you who haven't been to Greece, and we're going to come back to that in a minute and find out, but the Acropolis of Athens, which is probably the most famous place in Greece. It's iconic, and that's what the red dot shows. But we're very close to Italy here, even to Turkey, Bulgaria. So for the last 3 years, I've left my motorcycle in Athens. It's there right now. And I've traveled all around this area. It's fantastic. I can kind of show you guys. Go this way. There we go. You can see, here we are there. Now, I have traveled all the way up here, around here. And I've gone, you can't see over there, but all the way here, turned around, and I always end up back here in Athens. And that's where Panos and I always get to hang out. I'm going to move this because let's go to the next slide. So let's zoom in a bit. So I know Petrolona is not here, but there is a Petrolona near Thessaloniki, but this is not where you grew up, right?
No, that's not the one. And over there you have a famous cave also. But
yes,
whenever I remember at the college, whenever I said I'm from Petralon, or they see Petralon, they say, "Oh, you have the cave." I said, "No, we have nothing. We had a lot of sheep in my village."
Yeah. So you grew up somewhere near here, is that right?
Yeah, somewhere there.
Somewhere in there, in a small village of 150 people, and that wine that you're drinking normally wasn't put in a bottle. It was just in the basement, in the garage, right?
It was in a bottle, and actually they used these beer bottles with crown cups. So everybody was making the wine. So the fermentation continued in the bottle. So it was a blend of different grapes that they had in the area, Debina and Vlahiko mostly. So everybody who was making wine, they started the fermentation. It had skin contact. That's why the amber color.
Yep.
And then they bottled it before the fermentation stopped. So it continued the fermentation, and always there were some residual sugars, depending on the producer, sometimes less. So it had less sugars and more CO2. It was big fun whenever we were opening bottles at home. So always there was a crown cup. So we used to open, and the good ones we were opening next to the sink because we had to have a carafe and pour it inside very fast. Otherwise, we would lose about half the bottle.
That's fun. So as you're listening to Panos talk, he's an encyclopedia of Greek wine, and frankly, not just Greek wine. He knows about all wine. but particularly
No.
particularly Greek wine. But I want to let me go back to my slide here and just kind of before we bring you back. I wanted to. Okay, so this is Yanina, where that is, and that's where this wine it came from. And I'll tell that story later. I went there under the recommendation of Panos to look for this wine, and it took quite an effort, but I did find it. But I'm happy to hear that is available in the United States. And if we zoom in, that's where Panos started his career in a tiny village in 150 people, but he was into tennis and then into art before he even got into wine. He would have hardly known about much more than that wine that he's drinking now, his local wine. And now today, here he is. I'm gonna make these little boxes here a little bit smaller so you can actually see. So this is Vintage Wine Bar. So this is Athens, and hard because for those of you who've not been to Athens, the most famous part is Acropolis. So you can see it's a 12-minute walk. Panos can walk up there, on his lunch break, which they never give him anyway, according to the boss. and not only is he walking distance to there, over here, let me pull up my little thing. Right over here, somewhere over in here is the Parliament, and here's the monument to the unknown soldiers, right actually over here. And every day the Greek have a changing of the guards, which is a amazing little to see these men go out and switch guards and guard the unknown soldier, much like we do here in Arlington Cemetery. But and he is in the heart of this. So if you ever get to Athens, you have to go to Vintage. But let's get back here. We'll come back. We'll show some more photos a bit later. Let me get out of this thing and bring Panos back. So we did do a little poll, and it looks like 65% of the people on today are new to Journeys. Thank you and welcome. And for those 35% who joined us in the past, thank you again for returning. I want to just throw this up while we talk to Panos. I'm curious to how many people here have been to Greece. So there's a new poll up. So Panos, let's get into the love story. How did you find love for wine?
That's a good question. It came with the opening of our first restaurant in Ioannina. So I remember before meeting Isa, my wife, I used to drink some wine. From time to time, I was drinking bottled wine, but I knew nothing. I could only recognize the color, like white, rosé, and red. I had no idea. I was not into wine. I was not following wines. Somebody have told me about a winery in Evia. I was searching for their wine. So this was like every week I was buying a bottle and having one glass every day. But that was it. Nothing else.
One glass every day.
Yeah, a little bit of that. So I was drinking bottled wine, but coincidentally. And later when I've met Isa and we started our first restaurant in Ioannina, because Isa was into cooking. Anyway, I started tasting wines because we had to serve some wine with food. So it was my first contact with wines. And suddenly I started searching, reading, calling winemakers all over Greece. And say, we have a restaurant in Yanina. I would like to taste your wines. We are interested in creating a selection of wines from all over Greece. So I was calling from Thrace to Crete to the islands. Some people were shocked, like somebody from Yanina was contacting them. So, we started building a wine list that people have never tried before. I didn't want to go on with whatever everybody else was serving in the city. So this was the beginning of my journey and adventure with the wines. So thanks to Isa and her cooking, and thanks to having guests that we had to have some wine, I got into that.
Wow. And that was a journey. That was an exploration. Have you always been curious? Like, even when you were in your studies of sculpture, I'm sure you've always been like, you dive full in, or did wine just grab you somehow?
No, I got into wine only when I was not even so much into food. I like tasting different kind of food, but I got to explore all this food and wine world thanks to Isa. Before
And
that,
where
it was not very important in my life.
it was the okay. So tell us where you met, how you met Itza, and how did this romance spark, bloom?
So it was back in 2008. I remember I was cooperating with some people from the States. One of them, he had some businesses in Europe, and he's originally from Warsaw, from Poland. So he said, there is a business trainer in Poland, a lady. She's fantastic. She's very good. So I can arrange that she can visit and do some trainings in Greece. So they booked the trainings, and Isa was supposed to come and do training. So we knew nothing, how old she is, who she is. So my friend picks her up from at the airport, and she said, would you like to show our guest Acropolis one of these days and spend some time? I said, if she's beautiful, sorry, that was my answer. I can show her more than Acropolis. I can take her out to different places. I was single. So when I first met Isa, it was love in first sight. So I was supposed to take her to Acropolis. Till today, Isa has been to Acropolis alone, like a few years ago. not with me, but so after a few months, although she was just finishing building her house in Warsaw, she moved to Greece, and since then, for 12 years, we are together, working together, and it's not an easy journey, but we are extremely happy that we are all these years fighting together.
All these years fighting together, and I got to tell you, for those of you
fighting not between us, this happens many times, and it's dangerous that Isa, she's cooking and she holds the knives, so I'm extremely careful.
She's got the knives. Well, if for anybody who's worked in restaurants or even have been in a restaurant and at the beck of a server, and maybe you're even this is what, for me, I might be the last person to leave, and sometimes because to me it's a social. I love the people that work there, as well as I love interacting, and to work in the restaurant business in Greece, and I've been in this wine bar, and I've also been the last person to leave, but not intentionally, but I've seen people sit at tables, and I see the love between Itza and Panos, and how they can maintain that while she works in the kitchen, he's in the the wine cellar, like he is right now. He is pouring wine. He's consulting with people. They have Efe is their sommelier. We'll see a picture of her later. But between the two of them, man, you guys work so hard, and you really built up Vintage Wine Bar and Bistro to be, it's the most highest rated in TripAdvisor. It's got articles written every, top places to go in Athens. You've really done well, and the warm atmosphere that really is what made me addicted to Vintage Wine Bar is you and Itza and your hospitality.
Nice to hear that, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because this is our goal. People say, so do you work every night? And I feel like, yeah, I do. But, restaurant business is a business that if you don't love it, it's extremely tough. You cannot last, like in many things. But it's also something that you got to love people. If you don't love people, if you don't give everything to satisfy your guests, and if you don't do it sincerely, it starts getting extremely, extremely tiring. And I feel every night I meet new people. We are at the shop. We are suggesting wines. We meet people like you. We get new friends. Of course, it's extremely demanding, but on the other hand, it's very fulfilling when you get the feeling that people who visited your place, which is an honor, and it's fantastic that they choose your place between thousands of others. They leave having a great time. I think this is the biggest reward. And if you succeed in that, everything else is coming after.
Wow. Yeah, that if that's a truism statement, you could be a business trainer just on that topic right there for restaurant owners. Because I just wanted to say, John, who's in Washington D.C., has actually found that wine from Yanina, and he says he's glad to have it as your endorsement. Yeah,
you must check it out. My friend Dionysi is importing that. He's based in New York, and I think you will find it because it's becoming more and more popular. There was an article recently somewhere, I don't remember where, at some magazine or newspaper. It's really fantastic. You must try this, and if not this, you must try search all around and find some Greek wines and keep trying till you find the ones you love the most. And post it online, share it with friends, surprise them. And by the way, if you need any recommendations, you can go at our website or and send me a message. So winebarathens.com. Send me a message. You can send me some pictures of what wines are available or what. We do it all the time. We're more than glad to suggest Greek wines to people abroad, that they will start drinking that and sharing it with friends. And it will be a big surprise.
I love that.
Friends.
Yes, so if you're at a restaurant, there is a Greek. If there's some Greek wines on there, take a snap of that wine list. Send it to Panos, man. I love it. He's offering right here.
Or any wine store, or if you buy wines online. I mean, all our customers all around the world. I say, send me an email, and I will get back to you to suggest you which wines to start drinking. And many times, people from crazy countries in Europe, Scandinavia, they send me some links online, and they have amazing vintage of all their vintages of Greek wines available, and sometimes at better prices than in Greece. So
yes, isn't that?
They start drinking and they feel safer when somebody recommends them.
Sure.
Especially if you don't make money on that. But it's really nice to share our passion about Greek wine.
Well, that's exactly, and I wish in the States there were more places that featured Greek wine. Of course, you can search it out. By the way, this is drinking lovely. It's got some nice fruit, but it has a bit of earth and spice in that nose as well.
Yeah, a little bit of herbal notes also. Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you know, there have just a little over 53% of people on the call today here have been to Greece. 43 or 46 say not yet. So that sounds like an opportunity. So to make sure you note Vintage Wine Bar, because as we go in a little bit, we're going to talk about the Greek part of Greek that some people never knew about, or don't know about. But nonetheless, I'm going to put up another poll here, Panos, and I didn't tell you about this one, but I just picked a handful of varietals. I've got Astirtico, Ioitico, Zinomavro, Malagusia, Muscofilero, and Retsina, and I'm curious to see how many people on the call drank those. And while that poll goes, I want to play a little video. I just put this together in about 20 minutes today of just snapshot video clips I took. So the quality is, well, here, just enjoy this. This is a little flavor of Vintage Wine Bar and Bistro in Athens. Here we go. Brings back memories. So in that video, where there's a little bit of hint, I'd like you to say, how are you able to, and how can you offer the more wines by the glass than anybody else? What's your secret?
It's not a secret. It's like some crazy vision I had before opening Vintage. Coravin, which is a gadget that allows us to access the wine without pulling the cork, came out about 6-7 months before. So when I found out, I ordered my first one from US. It came through Germany, long story anyway. So we started experimenting, and when we opened, I said, one day maybe we will be able to pour like 100 wines by the glass. So we started working with Coravin in 2014 that we opened. 1 month after opening, we experimented to start serving fine wines with Coravin. So we started with a bottle of Chateau Margaux 2004. We started serving it so fast that it was like a big surprise for us. It was like 140 euros per glass. So we started seeing that we can pour without opening more expensive wines, more unique wines, but we started doing the same for every single glass that we were pouring. So after we were sure that it can work most of the times, it doesn't work 100% like nothing in life, but so we started growing, and we kept pouring every single glass without opening using the Coravin system. So later we grew to 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. Now we pour over 850 wines by the glass. And the only secret is that we just don't open them.
Right.
And we even pour Retsina that you've written there, which is a fantastic Greek product, but unfortunately with a terrible reputation, which is justified because Retsina, it's like a group of wines with certain characteristics, and doesn't mean that every time you drink Retsina it's good. But if you drink good Retsina, I think you can fall in love, and especially with Greek cuisine. I mean, people visiting Greece, they should definitely try some good restaurant with good food and good Retsina.
So I want you to tell this story you told me, a couple years ago, and I don't remember if it was a German or a UK visitor, and they wanted to order a French wine, and you told them that you really should try a Greek wine. I mean, look at all the wines we have here, and they said, "Okay, well, all right." It twist my arm, but don't make it Retsina. Tell that story. I love this story.
There was a couple of Canadians.
Okay,
so I remember they walked in one early evening. So they said, we would like to taste Greek wines, but please serve us whatever you want except Retsina. I said, okay, don't worry. And they ordered some almost raw shrimps. So there is a bestseller we have here. So almost raw shrimps. I bring them the shrimps, and I bring them two half glasses of a white wine. And they said, so what is this? I said, I let you try it with your food, and later you tell me if you liked it or not, and I will reveal what kind of wine it is. It's a Greek wine. So they taste the food, they taste the wine. They said, we are in love. We would like to have a bottle of this wine. I said, I'm sorry, I cannot serve you a bottle. He said, you don't have? I said, no, but you told me no Retsina. I said, no, this is not Retsina. I said, yes, it is. So it was a Retsina from Gikas winery, Pine of the Forest, the winery outside of Athens. Very elegant, with very discreet aroma of the sap of the resin. So they fell in love. They said, you know what? This is fantastic. Bring us a bottle, and we will buy a few to take back home and drink with friends. So this is the biggest fun. Or some people from Costa Rica, they came and they said, beautiful wines. We had fantastic time, great food. So what's your opinion about Retsina? And I said, let me bring you a glass. You will taste and you will tell me. So they tasted and they said, we would like to take a few bottles home. We have a wine club, we belong, and we would like to taste this Retsina with our friends that we've been laughing about Retsina all our lives. So Retsina, it's fantastic. If somebody tries good Retsina, probably you will love it.
Yeah, and for those people who don't know Retsina on here, I mean, this is a wine that's been made in Greece for over 1,000 years, and
it's since ancient times.
Yeah, and you mentioned it there, but people probably don't know. But talk about how it's made with the pine.
So Retsina comes from the Greek word retsini, which is resin. It's the sap from the pine tree. So the general idea is that they used to make white wine, and in amphora they were adding some resin as for preserving the wines. And in ancient Greek also they were diluting the wine with water. So Retsina, it's some ancient style of wine, which at some point it was produced, and it's still produced sometimes in huge quantities, not caring so much about the quality. So the wine that they use as a base, it's not the best wine you can get on the market. And the resin they add, it's too much. So as students that we didn't spend a lot of money and we didn't know at all, many times we were going out and we were drinking cheap Retsina because this was okay. And it's fine. You know, you can find cheaper Retsinas that they are good, but there are producers that they make millions of bottles. And many times people try something which is not representing exactly the best of Retsina. It's the same like wine. In every country around the world, you can find great wines, and there is no country who doesn't produce not so good, or I would say bad wines. It depends which one you will try. So it's the same. It's the same like my friend who visited Ioannina and somebody scratched his brand new car, and he hates the city for the last 20 years. It's not the city. It's just a bad experience.
Yeah, I got ripped off in Split, Croatia, and I still have hope. You know, now you know that story. Well, yeah, it's true. So, you know, as you're talking, and you mentioned how this wine, you know, in a short amount of time, you've become one of the top experts of Greek wine. In fact, so much so, you shared a story with me yesterday that the wine critic for the Wine Advocate calls you for recommendation.
No, it's not the truth. Actually, there are many specialists in Greek wine. I prefer to approach it like a wine lover than the specialist. So Mark Squires, who is tasting for Wine Advocate, we had a talk about some Greek wine. We had a chat online about best Greek Cabernet Sauvignon. So he recommended something which is not available on the market yet, from Megaspilo, a wild Cabernet, which we recently bought 1,000 of the almost 2,000 bottles they produced. So we bought half of the production because I thought it's fantastic. That's it. Nothing.
Yeah.
No, he's not consulting with me.
but it's a reason. You know, I mean, as you've already said, you know, people that from all over the world will send you pictures, email, and ask you about things. You certainly are a world of knowledge of that, and that's my point, really. But let's talk about wine and food. You kind of created that little word picture in our heads with that almost raw shrimp with the Retsina. You know, when I go to vintage Wine Bar and Bistro, I can look at that menu and Isa's cooking and the ingredients that you source out. You don't not only know about so much about Greek wine, but about sourcing really interesting, unique Greek products to be served at your restaurant. What are some of the highlights that really, you know, are hits for your customers and also a hit for you and Isa?
We all the time are searching. For example, today we've been to a new butcher that we've met recently, and we bought many different meats from different regions of Greece. So some organic fed bred beef and some only plant fed pork to try. All the time are searching. So we have different butchers. We buy some steaks from Naxos Island, where we age the steaks. They're aged for quite a long time. We have a different butcher that we source milk-fed lamb from the north, from a region next to the sea. The same we do with cheeses. So we all the time search for small producers. And, you know, many times you find something which can be available just for a few months and then it's over. But it's okay. We love sharing these products with our guests. Like once I remember one of our suppliers, I saw a huge head of cheese, like 8-9 kilos. I mean, for Greece, it's big. and it was dark outside. So outside it was like black. So I said, what kind of cheese is this? He described it. I said, we will bite it. Will you get another one? So we took this head. We served it like in maybe less than a week. And we loved it so much, it never appeared again. I think somebody produced it and he couldn't sell it. So I don't know, it ended up in our shop. And then we've never seen it. We never heard about this kind of cheese again.
Yeah, and I can remember several things. You mentioned that the lamb from up north, but that lamb prosciutto is one of my favorite, and you still have that. That's still always available.
Yeah, there is a young producer close to Athens, so he's making lamb prosciutto. It's really nice, and we discovered the second producer who does the same. So this is something we discovered like 2 years ago. Now it starts becoming more popular. Last September, we started serving the first Greek hamon iberico from Peloponnese. Some people who started a farm on the mountains 4 years ago, they brought some pata negra, black pigs from Spain. So now they're releasing the first ever Greek hamon iberico on the market. So we have already 8 months that we are serving that.
Oh, wow.
We search for new things. We found some family in Naxos that they were making some cheeses from raw milk. So they had a full basement of arsenico, thilico, and xenotiri, some traditional cheeses. So it took us about 10 months. We served everything, and now we have to wait another year before they're ready for their next bunch.
Wow. Let's talk just briefly about, because there's kind of always an inside joke among some people. I want to talk about fava beans and how how they are kind of a Greek thing when you really think about this. And I mean, what can I say? You just give us your fava bean best story.
Actually, fava beans in different countries, they call fava different kind of legumes. So this is a crazy story, because in Portugal and I think in Spain, when they say fava, there is I don't know the English name. So somebody can have allergy and can get poisoned from these beans. So I don't remember how they call them. So fava beans in Greece we call yellow split pea. So the most popular, the best quality comes from Skinoussi. It's a small island in the Aegean Sea. Also, Santorini fava is famous, and all over Greece they make fava. So usually what you do is that you cook it with vegetables, and then you make like a puree. So it's like a hummus, and depending on how somebody cooks it, they can make it very mild, like a very, very elegant puree, like a mousse. The traditional way, it's keeping some pieces of the beans inside. So the best story I have with fava beans is that Isa makes fava, which is a traditional Greek dish. We serve it with pickled caper leaves from Syros Island, but she's adding a little bit of extra virgin olive oil with aroma, which is infused with white truffle from the mountains where I come from. So a few years ago, there was a very good friend from US. He's importing wines, and he brought some chefs and bloggers to introduce them to Santorini wines that he's importing and other regions. So they came back after spending quite a few days in Santorini, and fava in Santorini, it's like everywhere.
Yep.
And they have local production also. So they came over, and when I was presenting them what we will serve them and different wines, when I mentioned octopus with fava, they said, please, no more fava. Really, no more fava. We are eating every day fava. Please, can you exclude the fava? I said, you know what? We already plant. We make it a little bit different here. So this scent of truffle really gives a different dimension to the dish. And it's funny that they said, please don't serve us this fava. But I insisted. So finally, after the full dinner, it was funny that everybody was talking about fava, that they loved it. So they were like, forget everything else. The best dish was fava. So fava is something that people should try. And, Greek cuisine, it's so simple. If you have good ingredients, simply cooked, you don't try to make it too complicated, it's fantastic. And the same is in Crete. So, if you visit Greece, it's fantastic to visit places that they have local food. If you are looking for fine dining, there are also many good restaurants. And then you can discover amazing wines at the proper places.
Absolutely. This is the wonder of exploring and discovering. And on our poll, just so you know, if you didn't look there, so we've at least 1/4 of our viewers today have tried Assyrtiko, and that's because probably most everybody will go to Santorini, and it's one of the probably most widely available wines in the West anyway. Nobody's trying Ioritiko, Malagousia, Mascafilero, but Retsina and Zina Mavro. How do I say that again? I get the accents wrong.
I'll tell you, it's pronounced Xinomavro.
Xinomavro.
Yeah, but there is the most important region. There are 3 different regions for Xinomavro, but it's easy if you would say Nausa. So
Nausa, sir.
It's an appellation. So if somebody learn, okay, I want to try Nausa. Nausa is Xinomavro. Of course, there is also Amindeo, but generally it's we say if it would only have an easier to pronounce name, probably Xinomavro would sell much better abroad. But also it gives some wines that they're world class. I mean, on Facebook, I posted the other day a picture of 2 different wines made from Xinomavro in Nausa, from ungrafted old vines. They're world class, unbelievable wines.
I love Xinomavro, and I like the lighter, from the Peloponnese. I love those Ioritikos. They're just, I don't know. Am I wrong to say that's the Pinot Noir of Greece? I don't know. It's more. Yeah.
It's a little bit richer than Pinot Noir, mostly. It's quite fruity though, and depending on the vinification, generally Ioritiko can give very elegant fruity wines that sometimes you can drink them even slightly chilled if they're not aged too much in oak. But also it can give beautiful bold wines, depending on the region where they're coming from. Imagine Nemea is a huge region; it's the biggest production of red grapes in Greece, Ioritiko, and the elevation differs from 250, 300 meters elevation. I think the highest is a little bit over 1,000 meters. They have mountains, so you can find many different styles of wine, but generally it's full body, fruity, and spicy.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm my bike, my motorcycle. Well, Panos, it's there, and with this Corona craziness, I wonder if I'm going to get back. How are people handling it here in Greece? I kind of, in my email letter I sent to people, I said, the Greek people are famous for not really listening to their government, but for some reason they must have in this case, because Greece has one of the lowest cases and mortality rates in all of Europe. How are you doing, and how long have you been able to be in business here and open?
Actually, we closed the restaurant like everybody else in the middle of March. So everything was canceled. All big events in Greece, the sports events, some festives that were organized for something we have here like Halloween. Schools closed quite early. Restaurants closed 13th of March, and we reopened like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So everything stayed closed, and there was a lockdown for quite a long time. So Greek people, if they have to do something, and sometimes it's like we reach the final moment in Greece, maybe you have to do something till September. Maybe you will start pushing on in the middle of August, but it will be done in September. The same like in Olympics. Everything worked
procrastination. Yes
perfectly, and probably the last day somebody was painting the last pieces of the buildings. So I think the response was very good. Now let's see, because this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, and it's not how well you start. It's like in basketball, the last 3 minutes are the same important like the first 3 minutes. So let's see.
Yeah,
we have way to go. Things are opening up now. I don't follow exactly the news. I live without the last 22 years. I keep an eye on everything, actually half an eye and half an ear, just to get the most important things. I believe this summer will be really very interesting and very unique. For everybody, this is like a quiz that you have to solve, and nobody knows because all aspects are changing daily.
What did you have to do to, has like here in California, our governor has mandated certain things for restaurants. They have to have social distancing. They've got to, have masks and et cetera, et cetera. What things did you have to do in order to comply with the Greek law?
Yeah, we have to have masks. We have to have here what we do, we have some QR codes for the menu and the wine list, but also we print daily one-use menus. So we want to keep this experience of having the menu in the restaurant. So we print them, and after somebody takes it, we recycle them. So we have to keep bigger distance between the tables. We cannot use even in semi-open spaces air conditioning. So we have to wear masks. We are disinfecting everything. We keep some rules that anyway, if you do business properly, you should keep it anyway. Of course, masks, nobody used masks in the past in a restaurant, and nobody was cooking with masks. But now my approach is that I would like to treat everybody like I have it and like they have it. So to be sure that we don't risk, not with us, but with somebody else or the people they get in touch with, because it's not that we are afraid. For us, everything can happen. Like, in Greece for many years, people were living for the weekend with their cars, and we had so terrible roads. I remember as a child, there were tons of people getting killed in car accidents, but still people were living for the weekend for decades. Yeah. So they were more careful every time, but the same is now. So we have a bigger distance. We use masks. We make fun with the masks. So we write in front of the masks because we use it once. We write like, I love Retsina, I love Pinot, I love Assyrtiko, I love ice cream. So we have fun.
So you have fun with it. Let's talk about, we're coming up. I know we had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we'll go a little bit past our time here. So please stick around, because we just want to get, sitting in Vintage with you, as you knew I was heading up into Albania and northward. You were not only an expert in the wine and the food, but, you have a good sense of places in Greece that usually tourists who come to Greece end up in Athens. They'll do the Parthenon hike up there. Then they'll go to Piraeus, get on a boat and go to Santorini, go to
Mykonos.
Hydra, Mykonos. Yeah, they're going to go to the islands, and then they come back to Athens and go home. What do you think is really missed? What do you think these travelers and tourists miss about Greece if they only do that?
That's a good question. When you travel from so far, like people from the States or Australia, okay, Australians are a different story because they go on holidays for about a month or 40 days. But
yeah, not the Americans, no.
But when somebody visits Greece, it's normal that they will visit the most famous destinations. So people visit Athens. Usually our guests, who they spend like 1-2 nights in Athens, they regret they didn't plan more days to stay in Athens, because they thought it's the Parthenon that you showed now. This is the Rodian Theatre. So there is the museum, and then they think that's it. But they're impressed about the vibes of the city. The center is beautiful. It's safe. You can walk all around till late at night, and you feel safe. Beautiful food, nice people. There is a buzz always. So they visit Mykonos, Santorini, some popular islands, but I think it's worth for somebody to come back to Greece and visit also the Ionian Sea islands. Beautiful, like Lefkada or Zakynthos, Kefalonia, northern Greece, Chalkidiki, that mostly people travel from countries who are close to Greece in the north. There are beautiful islands in the North Aegean, like Alonissos, Skopelos, Kathos, small islands also, and fantastic is Crete. Crete is really very touristic, but it's so big you can find everything over there. Plus fantastic wines the last 20 years. And also when we used to live in Ioannina and we had guests from Europe, from different countries, and we were living somewhere in the mountains, people were visiting us. We were taking them to the Zagorochoria. There are small villages on the mountains with many forests, fantastic landscapes, rivers, waterfalls, some of the most beautiful stone bridges that the technicians used to build over there. It's really spectacular, extremely pictures. Yeah, that's up there.
This is northwestern. Yeah, this is
this is Papigo. This is Papigo, which is I think this is we call it Camel Mountain. So over there you have tons of places to go for hiking, to go visit fantastic food, and within this is Agorochoria. So from there, within an hour drive, you can reach some of the most beautiful waters on the west coast at the Ionian Sea. Beautiful beaches. Really, it's this is the Ionian. Yeah,
this is Ionia.
Lefkada.
Yep. And that's not. I mean, I've got another shot here. I guess it's not in the best order here. This is
Meteora. Meteora is on the other side of the mountain in Thessaly, where a monastery is built on top of the rocks.
Yeah, this is spectacular. These monasteries were built in the 9th century. I mean, it's to think about what they had to do to build these. And that's
my city.
Yes,
this is my city, Ioannina. Yeah.
That's the Ali Pasha Mosque. Yeah.
This is built inside the castle with the lake view. Ioannina is a fantastic city, easy to reach now. And since we finished building the highways connecting you, that's the wine I'm drinking.
That's the wine. I had this in the slideshow, and when you pulled it out today, I was like, "Oh darn! I wish it was earlier in this little slideshow." So this is in at a wine bar in Ioannina, which is and they at recommendation of Panos, this wine bar. Talk about Greek hospitality. If I could just pine in on this, I went there the first night, and they said, "No, we don't have that wine here." And the next night, I went back there. And they had gone out of their way to find it and had it available for me to try. So, I mean, that's
fantastic.
Yeah. And of course, we're back here at Vintage. So I thought I had a Porto Katsiki photo in here, but I don't. But that's in Lefkada, the Ionian Sea, as Panos is saying. It's these parts of Greece. And earlier I showed the Mani, and you didn't mention the Mani.
Yeah. Mani is fantastic. West Peloponnese also. It's beautiful. You can do a road trip there and visit different places. Many places with really historical places and fantastic beaches. Beautiful villages, traditional with stone houses next to the sea, almost built on the rocks. So this is a great destination also.
Yeah. There is so much to Greece, and the fact that I keep calling it home now. I've by hardly traveled everywhere there, but even the number 2 city, Thessaloniki, has a bit of a charm to it too, doesn't it?
It is. It's totally different than Athens, and full Greece has a lot of places to visit. Where I used to study in Thrace, there are fantastic also places with the river. You can do amazing trips. There is the island of Samothraki where Nike statue was discovered. So Greece is full of different places you can go. That they're extremely beautiful. The locals are always extremely friendly. You can find good food. Weather is most of the time it's amazing. So generally, it's worth. We have some guests from different countries that they visit Greece like 2-3 times per year. It's almost like they don't go anywhere else, and every time they come, they travel to different destination. And the crazy story is once there was a couple from Australia. They said, if we come back next year, give us some recommendations. So I gave them like 15 different places. I said, check them out and visit whatever you think it's best for you. So when they came to Vintage, I said, have you been to any of those places? And they started showing me. They've been to all 15 of them from from Macedonia to Peloponnese to islands. Really, if you have time, Greece is worth discovering. And also, there is not only beaches and sun, are also beautiful mountains. And there are many places like Pilion, which is close to Athens, not very far, that you can sit at beautiful villages and with forests and green, and you can see the Aegean Sea under your legs. And within 20-30 minutes, you can have access to some of the most amazing beaches you have ever seen.
Yeah, and my last little jaunt down the eastern part, I stopped in a little village. I mean, in a city. Oh, I can't remember. It'll come to me in a minute. But it's that kind of thing is exploring and being open. But it was close to mountains, famous for people to go up and try different I don't know, whiskeys or brandies or something. I forget what it was, but I'll get that. But there's a few questions, and everybody has any questions. We're running out of time here, but Adele, who I know, Adele's been with us before. She's in Peru right now. She wanted to know, how do you control the quality once each bottle is opened? You know, meaning with the Coravin.
With the Coravin, there is only one way to control the quality before serving, and it's tasting. So Coravin works most of the times. So we pour all these bottles without opening. Like, for example, I have here. Okay, they're not. It will not be visible anyway. But when we pour from a bottle and we lay it down after accessing it with Coravin, every time we pour another glass, we taste it before, just to be 100% sure that the wine is in perfect condition. And sometimes there are wines that they change, so we start a new bottle. So every single glass we pour, we taste. The same we do with every single bottle we open at the tables. And as I say, 1% doubt, it's 100% doubt. So if we're not sure the wine is good, we never pour it.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So, and I've seen you do this over and over again, making sure.
We are tasting everything. There are days that I can taste. If I am pouring at Coravin, I can taste over 100 different wines. But I have a spitter, of course. Otherwise, I would be searching for a new liver.
Yeah, and you would be walking sideways and bumping into the tables and the customers. Yes, for sure. Words of advice for anybody that's on the call today that may consider Greece, is looking at a lot of destinations. What is the real top 3 things that should turn your mind around and should go to Greece, considering we had about 60% people had not been to Greece on the call today? What would you say to them?
You know, Greece has so many things to see. I think one thing is history, that you visit places that they're all around the world. You can find fantastic places with great history. Oh, nice. So when you visit any country and you visit places that are very important historically, you feel the magic, and there are some unique vibes at those places. So it's worth visiting Greece to visit all these places like the Parthenon at Acropolis, Delphi, all around Greece, like in many other countries. The hospitality, people are very, very nice, and food is fantastic. The weather is extremely, extremely good during summer. But I think the next thing is that we have some unique culture, like every nation. And I think between other countries, people should plan for at least once in their lives to visit Greece. Definitely. And also, it doesn't mean that Greece, somebody should visit only during summer. Mm-hmm. I see more and more people travel to Greece full year. So there are things to do full year. And especially if somebody wants to visit Athens, it's better not to be in the middle of the summer when it's extremely crowded and hot. But people who are living in Europe, for example, it's fantastic for a long weekend, for a few days break during the winter, the spring, the fall. Athens, it's a great city. It has very nice nightlife. There are many places you can visit all around Athens. So you can have a busy week easily coming to Athens, or if you come for 2-3 days, it's really worth visiting any time of the year. And each season has beautiful things to do.
And for a time, and I think we've passed over that, but especially with other crises, but during the financial crisis of Greece, it kind of did impact tourism for quite a few years. But I can say now I've been in the last 4 years in Athens 3 times. Athens, which used to be just a quick little jaunt, a stopover to the islands, as you said earlier, deserves to be further explored. There's interesting neighborhoods and beyond the touristic areas, and for sure. Well, listen, it's we've been on here. I'm looking right now for not an hour and 9 minutes. So we've and there's still more to talk about. Man, what question should have I asked that I forgot about before I go? What did I fail to bring up, Panos?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many things to talk about.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice for people, since we talk about experiencing Greece and Greek wines and everything. I think it's really important for people when they travel somewhere to discover everything that is local. So this is something like when people travel to Greece, search for everything which is local and good quality. If you go somewhere and they don't have good wine, search for another place. Get recommendations from friends who traveled before. Try to get the most from the places you visit. And also very important, since we go through some really challenging periods for all of us, also to remember, as I say, to count our blessings, because I had the talk with many people, since we are at this period of uncertainty and fear. A lot of people, they're forgetting a little bit, but also besides the virus case, it's the financial case, and people are stressed. I used to say that everything that can be solved with time and money, it's not a problem. And many people, when somebody has some health issues, they say, I would give everything for him to get good. And then when we are all good, we forget. So I think it's very important. Good food, good company, everything is important. But most important is our attitude to celebrate life. And also what you said at the beginning, peacefully, and everybody can change the world if we start by changing ourselves. And this can influence everybody around us. We cannot change other people, but we can change ourselves. So this is the thoughts over a glass of wine.
Over a glass of the and amen to that. As I said before, we are not only talking to a sommelier, a wine expert, a food expert, a passionate Greek man who is running an amazing, successful business everybody needs to experience when they go to Athens. But we are also talking to Panos, the Greek philosopher.
Oh.
And because it is. Philosophy is not something that is learned in school or learned on a book in a book. Philosophy is living life and experiencing it.
It's true.
And you do that. And are you going to the sea tonight?
Actually, I don't know. I have to check with Isa when I get back home, because Isa at home. We like going to swim at night, even in the winter many times. It's part of enjoying life. Like we swim full year, so many times, even during December or January, maybe it will be a crazily busy period at Vintage, so we are many times very long hours here, and we want to swim, so we end up swimming like 2:30 at night in the winter. And of course, people who see us, they think we are crazy, and we love it. By the way, one more thing that I just saw, and I would like to share with our guests is like, this is our new project.
Oh,
I don't know
yes.
if you can read it. It says Vintage Wine Bar Delivery per Glass. So during this period of the lockdown, many times we said with Isa, we would like to have a glass of wine. And as most of the times, Isa wanted something else. I wanted something else. Yes, she wanted red. I wanted white. She wanted light red. I wanted different red. So we came up with the idea of starting delivering wine per glass. We created this label. So we will pour a glass of 150 ml. And we just started those days, and we deliver it in the center of Athens. But what is fantastic, we're putting together for our European friends, we're putting together a program that we will be able to ship Greek wine tastings all over Europe in 24 hours. So soon we will create a Greek wine flight, 6 different wines, or anybody can order from our wine list, and we will ship it to your door in 24 hours in Europe at a really fantastic price.
Wow, that is very cool. So you'll be able to get it to most anywhere in Europe in 24 hours. You will give them, and you're by the sake of having so many bottles in the one of the largest collections in all of Greece, you can really do some special tastings like that, huh? That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
I wanted to
the same people can come, and like our customers, they come this last 2 weeks. Our guests came and say, I like this wine, but I drink only a glass at home. So people can take away a few glasses and drink them the next 1-2 days.
Wow, what a great idea. I remember seeing that on your Facebook page when you were first doing that, and a way to kind of sustain business, while you can't be opened, and giving people still that vintage experience through those cool little 150 milliliter bottles and unique wines. So kudos to you, Panos. That's awesome.
Thank you. And also we have available a lot of Greek wines on our new e-shop, so people from countries that we can deliver. Unfortunately, we cannot send wines to US. We have a lot of customers that they would like to buy, but since we cannot deliver, I think we can help you by sending us an email and suggesting you which wines to buy that you can find wherever you are in the States.
That's awesome.
Feel free to write to me through Wine Bar Athens. Send me a message, and I will be more than glad to help you discover Greek wines from the ones that are available over there.
So this is a great idea, and for those, we've got quite a few people. We have people from the UK on. I think there was somebody from Germany. We have I notice I think it was Mark from Canada is on here. So there's other places in the US you probably can get wine. Go to the Vintage Wine Bar's e-shop. They've got an online wine store now, which is really cool. I have a Adele, who is the one in Peru. She says, looking forward to meeting you. You've just put my Greece on my first on her list. She's going to plan her first night in Athens at Vintage.
Fantastic.
So
We're
she's
looking forward, Adele. I want to say hi. I see Helen, and I see some messages, but I forgot my glasses, and at my age, I cannot see very well. That close.
Well, Helen is.
Hello,
yeah, Helen is saying great. Yes, I met Helen actually at Vintage. Absolutely. She says a great idea, Panos. She's telling other people on the call here. She says if you go to Vintage, you might not leave, is what she said here. And she said some other things. She says it's strange feeling Greece for Greeks and Greeks for Greece. And Helen's saying, and I'm being your eyes since I have mine on. She says we missed Vintage. She missed Vintage. And I know that
we missed you all also, because it's part of our life. It's part of our life, and what we love doing is giving people this experience and sharing thoughts and exchanging thoughts about wine, about life, about everything. And I think this is the restaurant business is more how you feel when you walk out compared to how you felt when you walked in, than just the food and the wine. You can find fantastic food and wine many different places. What's important is the atmosphere and the feeling. What if it's lifting you up and you leave having a great experience going back home? I think that's what you remember from places. Maybe you will never remember what you drank, what you ate. You always remember how you felt.
And the people. And the people.
And the people. Yeah,
Yeah.
people make the difference, and we are happy that people who are working together in our team, they share the same passion and excitement. Like, we always want to do our best. Sometimes we should do more, but we try always to give the best we can. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Well, man, I miss you, Panos, and
I miss you too.
oh man, I thank you. It's been so cool for the last couple of days as we've been putting this together to talk with you, and now to actually have this whole time. It's like being at Vintage right now. I don't want to leave, like Helen said. You know, I really am. I'm missing that hospitality, that uplifting feeling, because whenever I leave Vintage, that's exactly how I feel. And I wanted to let everybody know that this is not the first time Panos and I have sat down and talked about life, wine, and just exploring and feeling good. Is on the WorldRider podcast. I interviewed Panos probably 2 years ago. I forget what episode, but if you go to the WorldRider website, you can see the podcast, or you find my podcast on Stitcher, on Spotify, on iTunes. You'll hear a conversation, an audio conversation that will even expand upon what we've talked about here. So if you like Panos, and who doesn't, go and listen to that podcast. We had a fun night that time, and actually we did that in the middle of, the music's playing in the background, the clanking of glasses, everything is happening in that room, so you actually feel the energy. I should let everybody know also that it's right now 2:20 a.m. in Athens right now, and Panos stayed up. I mean, he works in the restaurant, but he's always up late. But he stayed with us to come in and share some of his wisdom and the love of Greek, and the love of his lovely wife Isa, and just to spend time with you. So I thank you so much, Panos.
Thank you for everything. Thank you to all people spending your time with us today, and enjoy life. Stay safe. Give a lot of love to people around you, because that's how you get most love every time. And remember, put Greece and put Athens in your plan for the next years. And when you're in Athens, come visit us at Vintage, and always try to get the best out of life.
Always try to get the best out of life. Well, thank you, Panos. I'm going to play a little ending video here and I'm going to thank everybody that tuned in. I appreciate you. We'll do another one next week. Panos, I have a winemaker from Georgia. Talk about
I saw that.
Yeah. So we are having Andro Barnovi, and he used to be the governor. He actually started the first Ministry of Defense in Georgia, which was a former Soviet state. So that's going to be a real interesting conversation. Tune in there. Hey, if you guys haven't joined on and subscribed to the YouTube channel where you can get replays of these, there's a link at the top of your chat. Please do that. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. So it's a long road, but we're doing it. And get to Greece. It is my favorite. My motorcycle's sitting there, and all I'm waiting for is a green light from somebody, Panos. I don't know who's going to give me that, but the minute I get to Greece,
I wish I could give you the green light.
I know. I wish you could too. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get this. Where are we? Here we go. We're going to do this. Thanks again. This has been the Journeys Webcast, episode 9 with Panos. How do you say your last name? Kyriazis?
Kyriazis. Yeah, Kyriazis. You pronounce it properly.
I'm getting better Greek every day, and I love the way it sounds, because it's almost like curious. Kyriazis. It's like, and that's how I see Panos. See us next Monday. Thanks for sticking around a little bit longer, and I love you, Panos, and we'll see you soon.
I love you too.
Okay, buddy. Thank you for tuning in to the Journeys Webcast. I'm Alan Karl, your host. Be sure to tune us in every Monday. The time changes depending on where we are in the world. This is Alan Karl, and where will your next journey take you? You're beautiful, man.
You're the best. Thank you.
Okay.